Hello everybody, Andrew Casey here from Hypersanity Books, and today I'll be doing another review on the Neverending Story. I did an upload of this video on the channel when I first started, however that was 2 years ago. Longer. It's time now to redo the video in a different way. That also being said, the movie was based off the book, and then the Neverending Story 2 was based off the second half of the book. I also say that loosely, so there will be another upload video to follow up on that. The Neverending Story 3 has nothing to do with the book at all, except for a little twist within the ending as a hint to a possible sequel that never happened, especially by the author Michael Ende. Otherwise, let's get into it. Two of the main themes to understand with the Neverending Story when watching the movie or reading the book is depression. Depression is part of the main theme, where in the book it starts off with Bastian being overweight, he's not happy with his body, one reason why he's bullied, has a lot of other issues in the book. With the father, he has more depression in the book, whereas in the movie he's remaining strong with the recent passing of his wife, Bastian's mother. So that adds a lot more into the story, I feel, how the story begins and how the story concludes. After Bastian leaves home, as we all know from the movie, gets the book, goes to the school addict to get out of a test. Within the opening into the Neverending Story, it introduces the rock biters, which are called rock chewers. The Nighthawk, the young man with his snail, they're all there. Then it introduces a will-o-wisp, so it's another character that was scrapped from the film. Doesn't have a significance, but it just introduces the fantasy concept as the story's opening. Now, at the Ivory Tower, there is other hidden gems in the movie. On a bit of the marking, you can see Yoda in the background. There are Ewoks, Gumby. There are other things to look out for. So I do like how that was done with the film, because it wasn't having the pop culture override the main plot. It's still kept, it's there to look out for, but it's not distracting in any sort of way when you're watching the film. Within the book, it introduces that the Empress is sick, leads into Atreyu. Now Atreyu, the closest adaptation that was done to the way he is described in the book was from the Neverending Story cartoon. I don't know too much about the cartoon, except that it recycles a lot of key plot points within the films. Atreyu meets with his horse, going on the quest. It leads into a couple fight scenes and the infamous scene where Artax dies. It was very tragic for the movie because it was a real horse. When it came to the book, however, the horse was able to talk, and that particular fantasy element didn't pull as many heartstrings, although the horse did specifically say, "Master, I wish to die." That was something quite dark in the story. Then it led to meeting Morla. Again, more depression. Morla has given up in life, completely says that life is completely meaningless. There is no willingness to help the Empress. So Atreyu is really well stuck until meeting Falkor. Then it connects into the meeting Gmork, and it talks about 3 magic gates instead of 2. That also then leads to the Southern Oracle that has a very unique name. I cannot say this name properly, so I'll just pull it up on the screen. I wouldn't be able to do it justice. With the story, Atreyu falls off Falkor. It was wind giants that knocked him off Falkor. Lands on the beach where Rockbiter is. Another depressing scene. Rockbiter completely gives up. He couldn't save his friends, and he's going to just let the nothing take him away as well. Which leads into a place called Spook City, where another sorceress has put a lock and chain onto magical enchantment onto Gmork to keep him there. Then it also reveals all of the different things that Atreyu has done through the story so far. They get confronted with the force behind the nothing to wanting everything to go bad. That also then leads on to the retrieval of the Orin to get to the Ivory Tower, where we finally meet the childlike Empress. One oversight with this particular video, all characters were mentioned and named within the story, so even the Rockbiter was called Cairo Renzerak. That was his name. So Atreyu gets to the Ivory Tower, meets the Empress. She reassures him that everything's fine. He is absolutely depressed because he has seen everyone he loves die. So it's revealed that Bastian is the child that he's looking for to name the Empress, because then the Empress has a name to keep the world going. That was Moonchild, if anyone was wondering, what Bastian screamed out at the climax. Before the climax in the book, it introduces another character, because the Empress is feeling she can't trust Bastian to call out the name and make her be a part of the world to exist. So she calls on the help of Old Man of Wandering Mountain, who was in the Neverending Story 3 for the intro and part of the main plot as the keeper of the book in the other world. So if Bastian and Atreyu are opposites, I think that Coriander is the opposite to Old Man of Wandering Mountain, FYI. In this moving forward anyway, it was a good book. The movie is fantastic. The movie ends up finishing where Bastian gets to make wishes, and it depicts that he gets revenge on the bullies. That's not in the book. The book, for this part, ends with him going into the Neverending Story, which is where the second movie is based. So there are some vast differences for the second movie because of how the first movie ended, and there was also 5 years apart recasting. But that's another story and shall be told another time. Thank you, and goodbye.